Good morning, everyone. It is a lovely day. We've had some crazy snow the last couple of weeks, but God has given us the snow. I love when Miss Karen sings that song. God gives the sunshine, God gives rain, God even gives the snow. Got to be happy for whatever God gives us. But it is a beautiful morning, and we're going to continue in Crucial Conversations. Uh, be able to continue talking about what it looks like to communicate effectively with your household, with your workplace, with the church, with your friends, to be able to build those relationships and to be able to navigate your way through life. It's a very interesting topic that we just barely started talking about last week. We talked about what a crucial conversation means in a very specific definition. Like, what exactly are these conversations that come up? And they are ones that are varied in opinion. I think something, someone else thinks something else. We don't share the same view. The thing that we're talking about matters to both of us. And because it matters to both of us and we both think different things about it, our emotions are now high. And it creates tension. And while both of us or neither of us could be right or wrong, there is conflict there. And nothing is going to be solved as long as that's going on. And last week we defined that. This week we're going to start looking at how people normally deal with these kind of conversations. These conversations come up, and our bodies aren't built to navigate them effectively, which is interesting because back in the garden, obviously we had that perfect relationship with God. Adam and Eve had a perfect relationship with each other. The moment they're expelled from the garden, they've fallen. There's a change in humanity that almost has to take place because they have to survive now. There's death. And that survival also jumps into our conversations. So in survival, when something you don't know is there, you either have to fight or run. And we do this with our conversations. Our natural instinct isn't to have a good conversation. It's not to build a relationship. Our natural instinct, especially when it is a crucial conversation, when our emotions are running high, is to either avoid, to run away from the conversation. And that can look like a bunch of different things. That could be physically moving away. That could be walking out of the room just because you know that someone's going to ask you something, or because they just did ask you something. It could mean you're sitting there and the person wants to have a conversation with you, and you just kind of blankly look at them and nod your head, and you're like, mm-hmm. And nothing actually gets accomplished. You avoided the conversation without moving away by mentally avoiding it, by mentally going back in your head and being like, I care about this, but I don't want to fight for this, so I'm just going to avoid this. And on the flip side, you have the people that fight, and they voice their opinion. They do get heard, but it gets more and more. It builds and builds and builds as their emotions build, because the person you're talking with, they're going to do the same thing. They're either going to back down completely and avoid the conversation, or they're going to come back and fight too. So now you have a fight that's just escalating in intensity until it's not even about the same thing anymore, until it's cheap shots at each other, until it's name calling, until it's hurtful sarcasm. And both of these sides, they're terrible and they get nothing accomplished. When you look at the people who avoid, there is no conversation that happened because one person was talking and another wasn't. If it's a group setting, there was a complete opinion that was not voiced, someone who might know exactly what needs to be done because they avoided the conversation. And their opinion isn't added. It's not even there to be considered. And the sad thing is that most of the people, and this is kind of where I tend to fall into when I come to a crucial conversation, I don't want to talk about it. I'll ignore it. I'll walk away from it. If and this happens the most with my father. We don't always see eye to eye, and it's tough when I have to know, okay, I can't just walk away. I need to be here. I need to navigate through this. On the other side, with that battle back and forth of of intensity, of almost anger by the time you get down to it, because you're not even talking about the topic anymore. It's not the topic that matters to you, it's the fact that you're right, that your opinion is the right one. And while your opinion was added, nobody's considering it. Because in their mind, it was just a fight between the two of you. And I'm kind of looking at this at the moment as just a conversation between two people. When you have a full group, the dynamics shift and change, but both of these are destructive. Whereas avoiding meant that someone didn't get hurt in a group. In a group, if someone is speaking up and being boisterous and just aggressive every time someone challenges them on anything, conversation-wise, especially when it matters, then it starts to turn other people more and more toward avoidance, and it turns other people more and more against them, and it causes cracks, and it hurts, and it drives nails into workplaces and families and churches. This is what causes these things to fail, to disintegrate, is because they can't have conversations. They might believe and have good hearts. They might believe in the right things and they might have good hearts. But if they're not willing to communicate together, to share what they think, it's going to all fall to pieces. I want to give you guys just a little bit of an example here, and I want to know what you guys would do. So, a very simple, crucial conversation could be the fact that you're at home and your significant other or a child or a grandchild comes home and they were outside and it was raining and they have muddy shoes and they just wanted to grab something and they were going back outside and they walked on some carpet and some other spots and made it really dirty. And now they're back inside. They're coming back inside, and you notice this. And now you have a choice to have a conversation with them. Are you going to ignore the conversation, the conflict there, and the fact that obviously you're the one cleaning it up, and you don't want to do that? And they messed up. They were walking around and didn't even clean up their own mess. And you just sit there and clean it up. Do you avoid it? And you make a snide remark at them to try to avoid it, to try to change topic. Do you confront them about it? We all tend to do things in different ways. But most of the time, what we do is either to avoid or to fight. As you guys are thinking about that, I want you guys to think about how you normally handle these kinds of situations badly. Not well, because you do handle them well. There are times we all handle them well, whether we are it was intentional or we kind of just lucked into it. But when things do go badly, how do you handle it? Do you avoid? Do you run? Or do you attack and do you fight? Because knowing that about you is the first step. Because now you know how you act. And it's now about how can I incorporate what I know about myself into conversations. Thank you guys for joining. I look forward to working with you guys on Wednesdays and just the overall team that we're going to be building here. You guys have a great day.